Good morning, boys and girls at Bahrain Elementary School, and it is morning. I'm bright and happy this morning on this Saturday. One more day of my spring break, because I am going to work tomorrow. You have one more day off before we start back to school, and I know that your teachers are excited to see you back in Google Classrooms and on your synchronous learning sessions on Google Meet. But today I have one last story to share with you. So one story called The Curious Garden. The Curious Garden. My garden's looking pretty good. I got my grass mowed the other day, so I was really happy about that. But there is a little boy named Liam. He's out exploring the drab gray city where he comes across a struggling garden. He decides to help the plants grow, never imagining what he is starting. Oh, so there's going to be something exciting here. As time passes, the garden takes a life of its own and spreads across the city, changing everything in its path. Bit by bit, the city is transformed, becoming a lush green world. And I know that it's getting warmer outside. The grass is definitely getting greener. It's getting a little warmer out there. I noticed today it's a little warm outside. But this curious garden is a magical story about a boy's dream and how his efforts of one small person can help change the world. And our efforts right now to stay at home and to stay safe is one way that we can help change our world. And I know it's difficult, but we can do it together. So let's read Peter Brown's story, The Curious Garden. Oh, there is that drab city. Many tall buildings, just like in our city that we have. I don't see so many smokestacks here. But it says, there once was a city without a garden or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. And as you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. Now, we're spending a lot of our time indoors right now, but it doesn't need to be a dreary place just because we're inside. However, there was one boy who loved being outside. Even on drizzly days when everyone else stayed inside, you could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. He likes puddles. Oh, look at that. There's Liam out for a great walk. He's got his galoshes on, or his boots. He's got his umbrella to keep him dry, and he's got a warm coat. All of the things that we don't often need here in Bahrain. It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. Wonder where that stairwell is. Let's see. We'll follow the railroad tracks. I'm imagining the railroad tracks are up here, along here. We can't see them, but there's a little house. And oh, there's that magical door. The railway had stopped working years ago. And since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for the curious boy to do. What do you think? There's a door. He's curious, and there's only one thing for him to do. What do you think that one thing is? Is he going to go through that door and go exploring? Up, out he came. I bet that when he went in that door, he actually had to go upstairs and out on the other side. Oh, I was right. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely pitch of colored wildflowers and plants that were the last thing that he had expected to find up there. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying and they needed a gardener. And there's those plants. And there's Liam. And I think He's planning to be a gardener. A gardener is somebody that tends to flowers and helps take care of them. We have a gardener here at our house that helps tend to our backyard. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day and got to work. The flowers nearly drowned as he had a few pruning problems. But the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. Oh my, he's pouring water on them. Well, we know that plants need water to grow. He's pruning them, or he's cutting off the dead branches. That helps new life grow. And oh, I love it. He's singing to them. Miss Underwood would love it when we sing to things, and she helps us to learn how to sing in class. And so what a perfect way. We could even sing our hand-washing happy birthday song to him. And we could sing it in Arabic too. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and his plants began to feel like a real garden. Look at them growing and growing to life. But notice the little patches. It's starting to spread and get bigger. I see some little bitty things growing up between the slats of the wood that was in the railroad. Most gardens stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. While miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and the mosses that were the first to move, they popped up farther and farther down the tracks and were closely followed by more delicate plants. Look at that. It's getting huge. Over the next few months, Liam and the Curious Garden explored every corner of the railway. Check it out. Look at this. Oh, how beautiful. So his one little railway, his one little patch on the very end of the railway is starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like a little garden up in the sky. Oh my goodness, those look like daisies. I just watched a television show, and the girl who got married had daisies in her bouquet of flowers on the show that I was watching. Those remind me of that show. Look at that. It just keeps going and going and going. And there's Liam out exploring and enjoying the garden that he's created. After spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit the plants. Well, definitely, they are all hidden beneath these snow piles. And so now everyone is going to go out and go sledding. Well, we don't have that problem here in Bahrain. I have definitely not seen snow since I've lived here, but I've seen snow when I lived in the United States. When we lived in Michigan, we had lots of snow, and when we lived in Germany. I'm sure that many of you have lived places where there was snow. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for spring. Oh, look at him. He's become quite the gardener. He's got a wheelbarrow full of tools. He's got a watering can, a rake, a shovel, and it looks like he's been doing a bit of reading about how to garden. I wonder if he picked that up at the library. Miss Rowe might have some books for us in our library about gardening. And there he is reading his book. After 3 cold months, the snow finally began to melt, and Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. Winter had taken a toll on his garden. But thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter sleep. Oh, so he's back there again. This time he's not just pouring a bucket of water on them. He's using his watering can to give them just the right amount of water. And now he knows how to trim his trees so that the new growth can come in. And there it is. And he's still singing. That would be a good science project to see what kind of music plants like. I know there's lots of different kinds of music out there, but maybe they have a special kind of music. I wonder if our plants in Bahrain would prefer Arabic music versus English lyrics. I wonder if that makes a difference. So the garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city. And that spring it finally ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and mosses set out first. They popped up farther and farther from the railway and were closely followed by more delicate plants. The garden was especially curious about old forgotten things. Oh, look at there, an old forgotten truck, and now the plants are growing up right through it, making it a beautiful flower bed. Up, look at there, right through a window in a wall. That garden is leaving no place unturned. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong. Oh, why wouldn't the plants belong there? What do you think the plants are covering? Any guesses? I'll leave that to your imagination. Others mysteriously popped up all at once. And look at that. Right in front of the old man's little house, a beautiful pot of flowers. Oh, look at there. I wonder how they're popping up. Is Liam helping? But most surprising thing that popped up were the new gardeners. Well, wait a minute. Liam's not all by himself any longer. Remember in the beginning of our drab city, nobody was outside? Now notice all these people that are going along in our story, helping out in the garden. I see more and more people out in this city than I ever have before. Oh, some people are enjoying what looks like a park and having a picnic. Some people are able to go out barefoot, walking on that beautiful grass. And oh, there's a dog. And oh my gosh, is that a boat made of grass? Oh, and look at that. I think that's a moose and an elephant and a giraffe. Have you ever seen it when they make trees and they trim or prune? It's one word that gardeners use, to prune trees to make them look like different shapes. This one looks like a tree house between two apartment buildings. Look at this. This city is coming to life with all of these beautiful flowers. Many years later, the entire city had bloomed, but all the new gardens, Liam's favorite was where it all began. Up and there's that old building with that door that he came out of on the very first time he went exploring over by the railroad tracks. And remember that little bitty tree that we saw that he was pruning the very first time? Look at how big it is now. And here is his beautiful city with all of the flowers. Now look at the difference. I'm going to turn back. If you remember, that's what it looked like before. And now let's look at our after. It's a pretty big difference, isn't it? And that's the end of our story, The Curious Garden. You know, it's the little things that we do. By taking care of our plants around us, the greenery, the little flowers that bloom, we can make a difference in what our community looks like. You might not be a gardener, but I'm sure there's other things that you can think of to take care of the world around you and make it a beautiful place. You being in it makes it beautiful. And together we can do great things. I look forward to seeing you on Monday when we return to school. And I look forward to all of the new things that we're going to learn together over the last quarter of school. I wish you the very best on your last couple days of your spring break. Have a wonderful day.